Hello, Victor, and welcome to the Fluent Reads podcast. How are you doing today?
Hi, Mark. Very good. And you?
I'm doing great. I'm doing great. Thank you. So, first, let's start. How would you like to introduce yourself to the Fluent Reads community?
Well, I would like to introduce myself as a person that love to learn new stuff. I like to smile a lot and enjoying life. In an academic way, I work in the corporate environment as a purchasing or procurement manager. I have just ended my MBA, and as I say, I love to learn. That's why I'm speaking. I'm able to speak four languages: Spanish, English, Italian, and German. And in my free time, I like to do a lot of sports and enjoy time with my family and friends.
Okay, perfect. All right. So, before we start, we're going to do a short activity game. It's called the word association game. All right. So, basically, I'm going to give you
Okay.
um, I'm going to give you one word. You're going to tell me the first word that comes to mind, and then you're going to give me
Okay.
the word. Okay. All right. Word
Okay.
is act. Okay. So the first word is active listening.
Meetings.
Okay.
And I would say meeting because when you are in a meeting, it's really important, even in the corporate environment, to listen what the other side is saying or what your counterparts are saying in order to achieve a good result or a better result that at the end will mm, make you achieve the best solution for your company or for your market.
Okay. Great. All right. The next word is problem solving.
Resilience. And I would say resilience because nowadays we live in a VUCA environment where things are very volatile and in a complex way, and everything changed too fast. So being resilient give you the strength to actually being able to solve a problem or situation in a way where you have more agility or more flexibility to act and to keep the pace of your market or your company.
Okay. And the last word is negotiation skills.
Books. I would say books because at the end, if you want to become a negotiation expert or to acquire negotiation skills, you have to read a lot, see a lot of the ideas, the techniques, the skills that the professional managers or professional people are using around the world in different cultures in different countries. So books will help you to get a lot of negotiation skills.
Okay, perfect. Okay, so tell us a little bit why you like reading nonfiction books in English.
As I said in the beginning of the podcast, I really like to learn, and for me, it's something that I found fun. We can say so. Reading nonfiction book is something like makes my time nice and funnier. So I really like because I really like to see new things, new perspective, new way to see things because at the end you have or I tend to think that you have your own opinion about stuff, but that's your own opinion. If you see like different perspective from other cultures or other people, that's what you find in non-fictions books, and that's what I like about reading them.
Okay. Can you tell us a little bit about your reading experience in English?
Well, at the beginning, it was hard. And it's I remember I start with a tiny book. The main protagonist was Napoleon, and it's Animal Farm, and it was like a tiny book. It was not so long to read, and with animals, so what's for me was not complicated, but was an interesting book that gave you a perspective about communism and politics and blah blah blah. And at the beginning was hard. You have to go to the dictionary a lot. Nowadays with Kindle or some other apps, you can easily touch the word, and then you have the translation. But at the beginning, it was hard, and it make me learn a lot of discipline. But at the end, I would say it was worth it because uh, you see the changes. You see how your mind start thinking in a different way, how you start organizing the sentences or your word, how you start making faster decision or conclusion. And the best part, I would say your ear. I do a lot of audiobooks. Your ears um, adapt really quickly to what people are saying, the accents, and the meaning that the book is trying to tell you.
Okay, great. And how do these nonfiction books in English help you for your own personal and professional growth?
I will say I read mainly in three main topics that on purpose I try to find nonfiction books in this area, and I would say it's negotiation, leadership, and self improvement or awareness. And I think since I start reading those books, definitely, and that would sound very cliche, but I would say it's true. It changed my life because it gives you tools to see things differently, to approach things differently, and to be with people in a different way. So I would say it is like training you to become a superhero where you are more able to deal with your environment and with the people that surround you.
Okay. All right, perfect. Okay, so we're going to move on to the book we're going to be talking about today. So the book we'll be discussing is No Rules Rules: Netflix and the Culture of Reinvention by Reed Hastings and Aaron Mayer. Can you tell us a little bit about this book, Victor?
I would say it was the best book I read in 2021, and I will highly recommend it to people, to well, both people that move in the corporate world and also people that move in the startup world, because they do a transition where they explain all the step or all the situation they have in this period of time, and it helps the person that is reading the book to understand the challenge these people have. And what I like about the book is that the interview is doing by this author that have the I forgot right now the name, but she did the book the culture map. So they give a perspective of how this process of leading a company is being living, or it's been feeling through the different cultures that belong to this company. So you have really interesting insight about how a word can actually mean completely different meaning in different part of the world, even though that it belonged to the main corporate company that in this case was Netflix. So it was really interesting to understand the 360 degree of a multinational corporate company that it right now is Netflix.
Okay, perfect. So we're gonna go into
Eddie
your
Mayer was the
Aaron Mayer.
author.
Yes, yes, yes,
Yeah.
yes. Okay. So now we're gonna go into your three favorite quotes from the book. So I'm gonna read the quote, and you'll comment after.
Okay.
Okay. So your first quote is: "To achieve the highest level of talent density, you have to be prepared to make tough calls. If you're serious about talent density, you have to get in the habit of doing something a lot harder, firing a good employee when you think you can get a great one."
For me, this was a tough lesson to learn because at the end we're human beings, and when you work, normally you spend more than 8 hours per day in the work, so you start developing feeling with the people that is around you. But if you are committed to excellence, it's a tough call because you have, according to this author, to increase talent density. That's mean, as he said, firing a good employee when you think you can get a great one. So it's a difficult mindset that you have to train in order to be the best. So it's like you said, to be the best, you have to be with the best. Okay, so when you start not being the best, you have to leave space for the new best one. So this mindset for me was really curious to understand and actually to start applying because it's hard. It's hard as a manager. I have to tell you that it's really really hard.
Okay, all right. So we're going to move on to your second quote. "One of the reasons this is so difficult in many companies is because business leaders are continually telling their employees, 'We are a family.' But a high talent density work environment is not a family. A family is about staying together regardless of performance."
Well, that's what like the final point of about what I have just said. I when I think about this quote, I relate to soccer or football. That you have a coach that he has the best player for this season. He's training them. He's part of them. He's making them to achieve their best potential. But for the next season, he is aware that maybe he has either he has to leave or he has to trade some players. But we are talking about people, and at the same time trade. That can be like in some environment. It could be hard to say trading people, but that's actually what this mindset make you think that at the end you have to have the best people in your team and has to leave space or room for the better to come, even though if that's you that you have to go away.
All right, perfect. And moving on to your last quote, which is: if you're sorry, if you've got high performing employees, leading with context is best. To encourage original thinking, don't tell your employees what to do and make them check boxes. Give them the context to dream big, the inspiration to think differently, and the space to make mistakes along the way. In order, in other words, lead with context.
Lead with context for me, it's very important at the end. For example, with my team, when we start a meeting, we would always start. We have weekly meetings, and in these weekly meetings, we always start about explaining to them what is being discussing in the directive floors. I mean, right now, this week is really important for the company. This aspect, let's say, I don't know. Benefits or earnings, revenues, whatever. So they can have a context, and then this context of the company uh, find a way to relate or make this context apply to each task of what they are doing, so they can understand which is their part in the company and how they can help the company achieve this goal that's right now it's the context and right now is what we are trying to achieve as a company as a whole. But this is really hard because at the end you have to make sure that your team first understand what the context is, then that you are able to explain it to them well what is the context actually that you understand it like as the way that the company is right now seeing. But the good thing is after you do this as a regular practice, you amaze yourself when you see your team giving you feedback that actually were things that never no one thought before. So it's really nice because then they start to amazing you, so you are seeing that you are actually getting to the coach mindset that I was telling you before. So it's a, I would say that it's a nice reward that you get, and they feel like they have the resilience that we talked before also as an employee. I think it is a win-win for both sides.
Okay, perfect. All right, so now we're going to move on to your three takeaways. All right, so the first takeaway is embrace a culture of freedom and responsibility. Foster an environment where employees have the freedom to make decisions and take risks, coupled with a strong sense of responsibility and accountability.
I would say it's very important that the people feel free and they have the trust to actually speak up their mind. And I know that some of the company it exists a lot of hierarchy, but even though there is hierarchy, you have to foster this environment where people can freely speak and also with responsibility. You have to take ownership about what you are saying because your word as a leader has an impact in the people that surround you or in your company or in your market.
Okay, perfect. Second takeaway, hire and retain top talent. Focus on attracting and retaining high performing individuals who align with the company's values and are passionate about their work.
I would say that one of the things that I like the most about my job is that this principle or this quote or learning that you have read it make my day. I mean it's like that. I am surrounded with people that actually are very passionate about their work, and when you mix that with talent, the result is amazing. It's amazing. You start achieving numbers, goal, targets that exceed what you expected.
Okay. And the last takeaway, focus on excellence. Strive for excellence in all aspects of the business, setting high standards and fostering a culture of continuous improvement and exceptional performance.
I think a part of being the best or trying to be the best is focused in excellence. Actually, we have this an activity that we normally do once a week or once twice a week in this regular meeting where we have a little lion that we call it Noah, and actually we awarded this lion to the person that has the best performance in the week, but it's not the best performer as okay, you did that or you did something else. It's you have to match three core values, which is teamwork, focus, and excellent, and actually giving a result, a tangible result that you can see. Okay, at the end of the week, I managed to did that, and you see. with these three values, so three main aspects, the team start like making candidates. This week, I will say that the award should be for this person, and they start explaining why. And focus on excellence is something that is now part of the DNA, and they actually try. And when they receive the Noah Award or the Lion Noah Award, they feel really happy, and now it's like a nice way to end the week, like normally we do on Friday, and they go away like I have the lion this weekend, blah, 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 and they actually enjoy it.
Okay, great, great. So we talked about your three favorite quotes and takeaways. Is there anything extra or anything else you would say about maybe actionable advice or anything that can be applied from reading this book, No Rules Rules?
I would say feedback. They make a lot of time to explain the culture of feedback that they have in their company, and I actually think that match really well, really good with what we spoke about focus on excellence, talent density, and achieving good and best result. Continuous feedback is something that will say that in this Spanish culture, it's something that we have still. Mm, how you say there is a side for developing, and for, there is growing opportunity in this aspect with the feedback culture, because I think, and that's my opinion, that we are not so allowed to it, or we don't actually know how to give feedback, or what is difficult the most to receive properly feedback. For example, when someone say you look really nice, or you look really beautiful today, you blush, or at least I blush, and I don't know what to say. And that's something that I think that we can take this nice insight about the feedback culture from this book, and it will help you a lot to increase your excellence, or to uh, do a better performance, let's say.
Okay, all right. Did this book help you improve your English in any way?
Yes, yes, I would say how I write my emails, because they were given an example in the book where they were speaking with a Brazilian headquarters or business unit, and the person, because of his lack of English language, say like, "Hello, I need this for next week. Thanks, best regard, Victor." And for the Brazilian person, it was like, you has just insulted me. You don't know me. You don't put my name. You just said like, good afternoon. I need this for this time. Who are you? Please say hello, blah, blah, blah. And then you see that from the other's perspective, it was, I don't know how to speak proper English, so I will use the less word I know in order to give properly the message. But the other culture received, I mean, they are Brazilian, and they were like, no, you have to say hello. You don't have to be so rude. The other person was trying to be properly nice, but the other person feel as it was a rude movement. So with that, you learn that, okay, because I did that. Maybe not with English, but with German a lot, and maybe with the German culture is okay. But when I'm speaking German with another culture, I have to take that into consideration, and actually manage to express myself more properly, or more adapt to this receiver of the message, let's say.
Okay, perfect. So this book sounds like it's great for different profiles within a company. You mentioned in company culture and how this can benefit the team in general.
Yes.
Okay. All right. So we're gonna move on to our third part, the last part. What advice would you give someone for improving their English through reading nonfiction books or from other means in general?
I will say, to have patience and discipline. At the end, the curve of learning, I will describe it as like this. At the beginning is you see really or low results, not so big, but at the end you will see the that it's worth it because you get to learn a lot. You start seeing that actually your mind is going in a different way when you are trying to speak this foreign language, and try to collect like small wins more in the beginning time or in the first time, the first year or 2 years. Try not to concentrate about reading really long books, maybe short, like well, now that what actually fluent read does, like small resume, or where you can have a sneak peek of the book, and you are actually collect a successful award. For example, now I learned these five different words. Now I know a little more about this book, even though that I haven't read it, but I have the how you say, the resume,
The summary.
the short sample, the summary exactly of the book.
Okay. All right. Perfect. Okay. So, you have two other favorite books that we didn't talk about today. So we're going to briefly talk about these books because they could be quite useful in recommending to the Fluent Reads community. So the second book of your choice is 101 Essays That Will Change the Way You Think by Brianna Weist.
Well, this is a book that actually help you collect this winning or successful step that you are making when you are trying to learn a foreign language. For example, this book is 101 essays. So when you open the book in English, you start one essay per day or per week or whatever, but it make you easier to read. And actually, the message or the content of the book is amazing because you got to see a lot of perspective of how people think around the world, how people think about death, love, love yourself, what is enough, what is not enough, and you get to see so many point of view, or how different type of profile of person struggle in their daily basis. So I will highly recommend for a person that want to have a different perspective in deeper topics related to human beings like life, love, death, and so on.
Okay, great. And the third book, the recommendation, is Awareness by Anthony de Mello.
Well, this book actually for me, it helped me like really open my eyes. It was like I get alive for a second time with this book because you actually start to seeing yourself in a different way. It's a book that have a really tough way to say things, but are things that I would not say are true or are not true, because that's not the point about reading, but are things that help you connecting with your inner soul or with your inner being, and trying to understand why, or at least start to begin and to understand why you behave, or why you react in certain ways.
Okay, perfect. Thanks for sharing those additional book recommendations with the community. Okay, so we're going
Right.
to go. Okay, so we're going to go to our last question. All right, it's a hypothetical one. If you could write a book on any topic, what would it be and why?
I'm not sure right now, but I will say be something about negotiating, and it will be if you have like a milkshake and you put inside the negotiation topic leadership and self consciousness, and you mix it. It will be something in between. I don't know if I plain clear myself.
No, I understand what you mean. It's kind of like a combination of different ingredients that would be focused more
Yeah,
on negotiation. Okay, perfect. So perhaps we'll
yeah,
look forward.
probably.
So in the maybe in the near future, we'll be looking forward to your book on negotiation by Victor.
Well, I need to do some experiments, some reading. Maybe that's why FluentReads will help me. But yeah, yeah, let's say so.
Okay. Okay. All right, perfect. So, Victor, this comes to the end of our interview. And the interview, you have answered questions, explained the book, quotes, and takeaways. So now at the end, I like to give the opportunity for our guests to ask me any questions that they may have, one or two questions, or it's an optional if you have any question for me before we finish.
I will say no right now. No.
Okay. Okay. All right. Perfect. So, thank you very much for providing these insights for the Fluent Reads community. It's been extremely useful and helpful. You giving your perspective as a working professional and your journey of learning and improving your English. So, thank you very much for sharing with us today, Victor.
Thank you, Mark. Thanks to you and FluentReads.